Mike.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. It's hard to be happy today, right? I see the major indices. They are down today. Not much good going on in the market, except Netflix. Netflix is working out today, right? Hey, everybody. We got Bruce in here, Bill, Stuart, Julius, Lee. Oh, let me keep up with these comments here. A lot of people comment already. All right. I see the alert just hit. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Welcome to the Stock Analysis Power Hour. It's time to get your stocks. It's time to get further acquainted with the VectorVest proprietary indicators. So without further ado, let's get some stocks in. Let's start out with the first 10. First 10 coming across. And we are dual streamed today between YouTube and the community room. So just heads up, I will be getting stock picks from both sides this week here. All right, we got Orla. I'm glad Orla's shaping up to be a nice trade. AXC. NRDS. All right. AAOI. VectorVest. Vanguard. Large cap. Interesting. MBIS. Let me make sure these were the first ones here on the YouTube side. There we go. All right. MBIS. Dan. Get a couple here. ABBV. Fix. That's a popular one. AAOI. Nice. Let's add these. See here on the community room side here. See here. AOI, MRK, GPC, NVIDIA. All right. We'll talk about, how about some ETFs? Yeah, ETFs work too, Jeff. Let's do it. Anybody got some ETFs in general? I see here. AGQ. Ooh, silver. Okay, I figure that's the first one coming out today. Silver. Okay, defense. I think you guys are in the right spot here. Great day in the market if you have Netflix. I got Netflix and I got NVIDIA, in my YouTube portfolio. So, how that's working out. Slightly up because of Netflix, but hey, I'll be all right with NVIDIA. XLE, and if not, I'll cut it off early. It's okay. Move on to the next one. GDXY. Jeppy. Let me scroll down the YouTube side here. Netflix. SQQQ. Oh, Q, sorry. Third Q there. All right, there we go. Now we've got some stocks to work with. Woo! All right, happy Friday, everybody. Now, let's see here. First one at the top of the list, again, if you're new to the VectorVest software, one of the first things you'll notice is by default, whether it's a stock viewer or your watch list, the default way that we sort our stocks here at VectorVest, value, safety, and timing. We definitely feel here at Vector, those are the things you need to know about your stock, right? So, at no surprise, look at this. We've got Orla at the top, and this is one of the top stocks in the entire database here. Up another 2%. Look at this one. Applied Electronics up 50%. VST, actually, it's got a high VST, 1.43. RVRS, not favorable, but it could have been worse, that's for sure. All right. CD Drive, hey there. How we doing? VOYG. I like that one. Let's try that one here. Voyager Technologies. And we'll do Melly. There we go. Get those in. Let's start with the even 20. Once we get through these, if we have some time, we will cycle back around, okay? So again, at the top, these are going to be your fundamentally sound companies, right? Typically speaking, this is where usually the high RVs, high RSs will come into play. And look at this, high RVs. First unfavorable one, Applied Opto Electronics. If you scroll over to the right, what's bringing it to the top of the list is the technicals, right? Both the fundamentals here, RV and RS, are unfavorable. ETFs are disadvantaged with the 1 RV and RS versus VST rankings. They can be. They can be, Bill, for sure. Yeah, there's not a way to track those fundamentals, and obviously the ETFs are resetting. I don't know if they're held at, they can be held at a disadvantage. It just depends what stocks they're being compared to, right? Because if the other stocks in the list have RV and RS below 1, well, then naturally those ETFs will have a higher advantage, right? Because their RV and RS, will be at 1, then advantaged. But I get your point, though. And that is a very good point. If you're new to VectorVest, if you'll notice ETFs here, I'm glad you pointed that out. That's actually a good thing to point out here. So we'll just use this one as an example. iShares Aerospace and Defense, probably not a bad place to be as far as defense, right? So we scroll slightly down today, but as we scroll over here, look at the fundamentals. They're zeroed out at 1. So yes, you got a great point. RT is what carries the weight when it comes to the ETFs. And if you ever go to like the ETF viewer, where's it at here while we're talking about it? Stock viewer, where's the ETF viewer? There we go. ETF viewer right here on the left. You will notice if I scroll over here, these are, see the VST here. If you compare it to the RT, for a lot of the ETF searches, they will be by RT, relative timing. So you're really focusing on just price action and price momentum, right? For ETFs, the RT, so you want to stick to the more technicals, right? Because the fundamentals, we're not going to be able to track them just because the ETFs reset all the time. So just know that when you are looking at ETFs and you see RV and RS, both at 1, or if you don't know what symbol you're looking at, if you're not familiar with the symbol and you notice both are at 1, there's a good chance it might just be an ETF, right? And for any reason you don't know, let's say auto fit this. You can always just right click on a stock and go to the view full stock analysis report. So I click on that. It'll tell you exactly what it is. If it's, a stock, an ETF, it'll tell you right here. All right. Let's get to it here. Now, if I scroll over to the right, we're going to resort these by RT today. The reason why? Auto fit. This thing always does this every time I make a change. All right, when I scroll down, you'll notice by RT, relative timing, it kind of naturally brings the buys to the top. The holds typically somewhere in the middle, and usually the sells are dominating the bottom, right? So if this was an actual portfolio of stocks, I know that many of you that have been with us for VectorVest for quite some time, you already know this story, right? But for those that might be new, typically, let's say if this is your real stock portfolio, you'd resort by RT after you entered in all your positions. And what you should really be paying attention to are the stocks giving you trouble, right? The ones at the bottom, the ones with RT less than 1, right? Look at NVIDIA, just crossed less than 1. These are the stocks that will give you the trouble in your portfolio, especially if you've been holding on to them, right? All right, let's graph these real quick. Move this over here. All right, first stock here. Do you think VectorVest will ever be able to compile the holdings of an ETF and calculate an RV and RS average for the ETF? The biggest problem with that means is that we would have to have, just logically thinking, we'd have to have a direct data feed with these ETFs companies, because we'd have to know exactly when they're resetting their ETFs. And that happens often, right? So I'll be honest, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm not going to say it's not. It's a little bit above me, right? It is a good idea, but I could just see the complications with that in theory. Here's AAOI, first one. Now, again, let's take a look at these here. Let's take a look at the RS. So to add an indicator, go to add parameter, go to capital appreciation. We're going to focus on the safety. Here's AAOI, an unsafe stock. There's some risk with this position, but that's okay because look at the earnings per share. It was trending down, but now they're trending higher. And just like most stocks at the beginning of this year, you'll notice the forecasted EPS tapering off a little bit in a lot of the stocks that you might be looking at. It's kind of a common theme, really, kind of a warning sign, obviously, for, broad market. As far as this stock, though, look at this strong buy rating. Let's go into a 3-month or let's do 6 months here. Nice lower left, upper right trend. You can see the consolidation. If I just use a freehand line, almost like a little ascending channel here per se. You know, I like those, right? Once we got above it, we broke above it here. So a lot of momentum trading at session highs, but look at the RT relative timing. That's really letting us know when the bulls started taking control of the price trend here. See, there was a little bit of a dip, right? Some sell ratings in place. That's okay. But soon as the trend went back into favor of the bulls, RT went back above 1. Price action finding itself in the ascending channel, right? So again, momentum, a lot of momentum right now. If you're in it, you got to ask yourself when you're going to take some profits, right? Or at least you maybe hedge the position. It's up to you. But you're still trading at session highs, still have a strong buy rating. Just know, forecasted EPS tapering off. And the safe, even though the stock is not considered safe, this rating went from 0.64 now to 0.92. So it's moving more to a neutral point on that scale of 0 to 2, the oscillation point. But it's still unfavorable. So a little bit of risk, but you can see that the consistency and the predictability of the financials is getting better, right? But just a lot of momentum. If you're holding it right now, hey, just protect profits if need be. Otherwise, I'm not going to chase that one today. All right, here's Orla. This is just nice. Talked about this before. If I scroll back, a lot of consolidation here. This gold stock ready to break out. As you can tell, it is just hitting another all-time high. I think it's all-time. Let's go to 10 years. Yep, all-time high. Earnings per share. Look, even for the gold stocks. Look at the earnings per share here. Tapering off. Hey, that's okay. That's a little bit of a warning. But right now, the momentum of the price is to the upside. Buy rating in effect. RT picking up steam as well. If I zoom into a 6-month time frame, you can see the swing highs here and swing lows getting higher. I like the momentum here. RT's at 1.86. A lot of momentum on this position. RS relative safety coming in at 1.17. So there is some safety with this position here. Let's see here. Fix. This one's nice. 6 months. Nothing but buy ratings in sight here. 2 little holds. Other than that, buy rating. No sales. That's always a good sign. Climbing earnings. Let's take a look at this stock. Just like the other ones over the last few months here since the beginning of the year. Kind of flat, but look at that. Starting to jump up. That can get me excited. We've seen a lot of those stocks. That forecasted EPS slowing down or tapering off a little to the downside right now. That's just a common theme we're seeing. But this one starting to tick back up. That's a good sign. Now, as far as price pressure, you got 3 red candlesticks in a row. So I want to be in a rush to buy it. Obviously, we all know the market's not doing the best today. Last time I looked at the color guard, there wasn't a whole lot of optimism there. So again, not the best time to just go out and buying a bunch of stocks unless there's a green light. When I started this recording, anybody know, has there been a green light pop up? I don't think so, right? If there has been, let me know if things change, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case today. As far as fix here, I like it. I mean, the stop price, it's a little far from our stop price. Stop price coming in around $1,181, just shy of $1,200. I mean, that's $200 away. So you really just got to ask yourself if that is an appropriate stop for you. He's done a great job keeping you in the position. Earnings per share is ticking up. No real reasons for concern, but just be careful. That stop price is $200 away right now. But relative safety, 1.47. That's a safe stock, right? It's fixed. If I scroll back here, this one's done pretty well. You can see nice steady eddy, right? Had a downtrend, but since here, April of 2025, nice strong uptrend, lower left, upper right. Let's go back to 6 month. Here's Dan, Inc. Auto Truck here. Yeah, RT relative timing above 1. Very nice. Only dipped below 1 here. Very briefly. We didn't get a sell rating. Price action stayed above the stop. Look how well that stop price does. Again, if you're not familiar with our stop price, phenomenal tool. It's a 13-week moving average, and then we adjust it for the company's fundamentals. So if the company has, weak fundamentals, poor earnings, a lot of debt, whatever it may be, we're going to tighten that stop up, right? Protect capital. However, for good stocks, high RS, high RV, strong earnings, rising earnings, that's when we'll loosen it up, giving that breathing room. And you can see the stock price here doing a great job giving the appropriate breathing room in 2 instances here on pullbacks, keeping us in. And however, look at the price action now, $34. As far as forecasted data, again, here's an example of that earnings per share since the beginning of the year, tapering off is around 210. And now it's at 206. There's a little bit of a slowdown there. Just be careful. RS, relative safety, relatively close to the neutrality point, right? It's almost at 1. That's the oscillator here. So a little bit on the riskier side, but nothing too crazy. What I do like, it's improving, right? It went from about 0.9 to 0.95. So hopefully, if we can continue this trajectory, we get a little bit of safety in our favor as well with this position. But I like the price action. And as far as value, let's just see if we get an added bonus here. Yep, undervalued as well. Nicely preferred here at VectorVest. That one I do like. Here is XLE. Okay, so this is going to be our first ETF here, it looks like. The sector spider, energy sector. Petroleum's been hot lately. Look at the RT picking up momentum. No surprise, reflecting in price action itself. Strong buy rating even today. Got a nice bottom wick. A little bit of a body forming on the candlestick, trading just shy of $56. Relative safety, obviously going to just be neutral. If you missed that part earlier, ETFs, when it comes to our fundamental indicators, RS and RV, they will just be sat at the oscillation point of 1. Right? So it'll just be neutraled out essentially. So the real weight is going to be carried by RT, relative timing, when it comes to ETFs. And you can see, it hasn't been a sell on this one in the last 6 months. The buy rating helped capturing that momentum to the upside. Stop price, it's about 10% lower than it is now. So giving us a nice little wiggle room from here. Let's go to a 1-year chart, see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see the sells coming into place. A lot of price pressure on. However, it took a little time for the buys to come back after some trust was restored. RT back above 1 here. And really been sustained above 1 other than this little dip here. Looks like about 1 day. Giving us a really good sense of when the bulls were taking control of XLE. You can see since then, price action. Almost like a little ascending channel here. You know, like channels. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Just a quick look at it. Yeah, not too far from it. Some consolidation, a little bit to the upside. And once it finally broke out to the upside, that momentum released. Momentum has been released here. If you are yourself in a high momentum trade, one graph layout that we've utilized here quite a bit is Star Search. Now, Star Search, kind of a swing trading graph layout per se, but once momentum is recognized, it gets in this fast lane here. If you're not familiar with Star Search, we use 2 sets of Bollinger Bands. The yellow set, just to be a standard deviation of 1. The white one, standard deviation of 3. If you're familiar with statistics, you know what that means. But the easy way to point it is once price action gets between this yellow line and the white line here, that's what we call the fast lane, right? That's where the momentum is. And once you get a sustained pullback or break this yellow line here with some confirmation, that's when you would start taking profits, or at least, protecting profits, right? It depends what you want to do with the stock, but this has been a very popular way to capture high momentum trades, especially if you're not used to high momentum, right? You can see it does a nice, and like Glenn used to say, when this breaks, it usually takes about half off the table, right? Protect the profits. You can let the rest ride. Just whatever you're comfortable with. But it's just a simple approach here. And let me try it out on the next stock before we switch it here. Here is Merck again, capturing quick profits. You see here, pretty short-lived. This one here, nice little run. This one also running a little bit as of recent. But just a simple way to capture nice little swing trades. Very simple, very easy to follow. Typically, you'd want to enter in somewhere here, at least start to get protective or defensive if you break out to the downside. Since it's an ETF, can you drill down and find the bigger players if preferred? So Richard, if it's an ETF that you really want, like an RV or RS rating, we wouldn't be able to weight it appropriately, but you could always just Google the top holdings and just create a watch list maybe of those top holdings, if that's something that you want to do, and at least kind of maybe put you in the ballpark or, okay, yeah. That's probably the closest route as far as trying to get an RV or a sense of RS on an ETF. Maybe just Google the top 10 holdings, whatever it may be. Yeah, it is pretty complicated, right? And that's kind of the point of ETFs, is to keep it simple. So if you want to go that far and do the individual research of the stocks, but that kind of goes against the sense of the ETFs. I get what you're saying, Bill. It is easy. I mean, it's just a personal choice, right? I know I've found myself in the past, creating a watch list of certain ETFs that I was interested in, whether it's for stock ideas or get a sense of the watch or the ETF. But it's not something I do very typically, right? Does anyone else do that in here? Create a watch list of an ETF holdings. I'm just curious if that's something that y'all do. Most platforms list the big holders on the platform. Yes. Some platforms do. I'll say some. All right. As far as Merck here, this one looks good though. Let's go back to the regular. We talked about the star search a little bit, but that's where it looks a little iffy, right? The forecasted earnings per share dropping quite a bit here from what, 920 to about 840. Let's see what the value is doing. Value is still rising. Value is still rising, right? I usually just ask AI for holdings and look at them in VV. CD drive, I'm not going to lie, I've done that so many times with Google, and I don't even type it in. I literally just hit the microphone button. Get the holdings, throw them in a watch list, right? That's especially now with AI and Google. I doubt, we're going to be bother writing the code and all that stuff. And they might for the new platform. I don't know. With the Edge, it's not a bad suggestion. But now with AI and Google and stuff, or whatever platform you might be using, it's not that hard to find them. And they have, you go to the website, obviously. ETF, look at VV first page sectors is one way to check out some et cetera types. Oh, okay. But yeah, if you want to find hot ETFs, there's places in Unisearch, and there's the ETF watch list folder. We'll take a look at that. There's been a lot of questions about ETFs. I'm just here to help you guys and gals. So we can look at that here in just a moment for sure. But as far as Merck, hey, the momentum, the trade, I like it, right? I mean, lower left, upper right now. Momentum is there. RT is there. But just look at the forecasted earnings per share here. Well, the one good thing about this one, because again, at the beginning of the year, a lot of them have been tapering. This one did all its damage before the beginning of the year. It looks like it's trying to recover now. So just be careful of that EPS drop, right? But otherwise, from the technicals, looks good. Now here's EXC. Let's go to 1 year. This one just kind of moving to the side, but what I do like is that breakout we're seeing. Let's just put a little horizontal line. Yep, there's the resistance, 1 touch, 2 touches, 3. Got a little rejection, but it's decided to power through. I like that. The stock's a little overvalued, but guess what? Investors are willing to pay for premium for EPS. And look at the earnings per share. Went from 265, now it is at 284. You see the value ticking up as well recently. A little volatility in the valuation here, but overall, look at the lower left, upper right, a little volatility in between, but it's moving in the right direction here. I like it. I like this new high. Let's just go to a 5 year, see where we're at. I'd probably treat this like a resistance zone here, to be honest. If it breaks above this, probably look up here for the next target, but that's from a more technical perspective. But right now, looks like a good stock. Just be careful. Investors are paying a premium. There's also some good ETF Unisearch. Yes, they are. Yeah, just Google XLE. That's what I do. Google it, right? It makes it easy. And you can create an ETF watch list folder of your own if you'd like, and do that. But generally speaking, ETFs, the idea behind them is so you don't have to do all that individual stock research, right? ITA, lower left, upper right, aerospace and defense. I mean, look at the RT. Did dip below 1, but hey, that's a good reason to, right? It was on a pretty good pullback here from about 220, which looks like I had some resistance lines here before. Came to about 200 on that pullback. But once we got the breakthrough, and look at RT, even giving us a little heads up before the breakthrough. Look at that. Right there, went back, but started trending back up, clearly. I like this little setup here. This actually worked out pretty well. Nice retest on this support line here. There's the retest. off to the races. What I don't like, pretty much got a double top right now. So just be careful of that. One touch, two touch, right? Just be careful, right? But as of right now, looks good. Buy rating still intact. RT picking up steam over the last few trading sessions here. So no real reason for concern. But just be careful if this does pull in more of a rejection here. Could have a double top. Honestly, we never retested this level. If you want to learn something cool, Steve Chappell taught me this. I will say definitely check out Jockey Club, Swing Trading Group Coaching. They can teach some really cool stuff here. But if I just, it looks like a little cup, right? Cup and handle. Boom, boom, boom. And look at that. Almost a perfect target, right? I even talked about that on silver. A little symmetry or symmetrical cup and handle chart formations. If that's something you've never heard of, that's something new. If you thought that was cool, I'm telling you, Steve Chappell, Jerry D'Ambrosio, those are the coaches you're going to learn from. Phenomenal. I've been learning from them quite a bit here. But with that target set and a double touch, that's more of a technical perspective, but just be careful. We still got the buy rating, but just be careful. Not saying sell it, but just be careful. Here's GDXY. Gold miners options. I don't know. Over the last 6 months, does this pay? Is this like one of those yield max things? Because unless this is paying a really good dividend, I would rather just throw a dartboard at a gold stock. Or throw a dart at a gold, not a dartboard. Precision swing trading, great course in VectorVest Universe. Yeah, no, right. You're right, Stuart. I mean, that's where I learned essentially when I was in the call center was some of those courses. And obviously just listening to them. I mean, they're phenomenal. But I did want to check out dividend yield. Yeah, that's where, okay, you got a 52% dividend. That's where, so no, I mean, this volatility here, I mean, that's the average yield. You have to look at your broker here, see where it's at, but it's going to be high. It's a yield max kind of thing. But I'll be honest. Let's just scroll this thing back. Yeah, that's where the resistance is. Be careful. We're so close to resistance. But yeah, I mean, it's paying high. Hey, dartboard works. Throw the dartboard. Thanks, Kara. I'm not a yield max expert by any means. I'm not going to pretend to be. But, yeah, if you're getting around 50%, 52% yield, yeah. And it's paying pretty frequently, too. Let's go to 6 months here. Yeah, it's paying frequently. That ain't bad. Might be something that shouldn't work out. I mean, just looking at the consolidation pattern, though, I will say this. When I go back here, I'm looking at resistance here, right? So I don't want to buy it. If you're already in it, I don't know where you bought it at, but if you're thinking about getting in this, probably going to hit some resistance here, especially after this strong climb. I don't know. I'm just thinking it's a little in the overbought territory, if I want some confirmation, because I mean, it's at 1827 right now. It's at 1810. I mean, you're 17 cents away. What's the low here? Oh, 15? That's not half bad. I'll do a little more research on that. That's not half bad looking. Not going to lie. And look at the RT starting to pick up here. So that's a good sign. You see last time, that rejection here, RT went right back below 1, right? So just be careful of that one. But yeah, that dividend yield, that's the only reason I would be interested in this, right? Frisbee dartboards. Oh, Frisbee dartboard. I like that, Bill. I like that. Here's ABBV. Oh, no, a whole lot of nothing over the last 3 months. Let's give it 6 months. Still kind of nothing. A little bit of something. Not a whole lot of anything. Yeah, it's not doing a whole lot of anything, to be honest. But what I do like is the price action. If I just use a horizontal line here, or this swing high. That was my resistance, right? Looks like approaching it, gapped above it, came back, retested. Now support, right? Now testing as support. So this is why I just want to stay above. We'll ignore that. That's from before. But 217. That's why I want to stay above, right? 230. What I do like about this, value earnings per share, they are climbing. But I guess this is that common pattern I'm seeing. The earnings per share is dropping. But in this case, the value is also dropping. So just be careful. If this starts to accelerate this value dropping or this earnings per share. But right now, as far as the technicals, And price action, really just want to stay above 217. And the bulls and the bears are duking it out right now. You see RT so close to the oscillator at 1.01. What is the color guard today? Honestly, I haven't looked at it in quite a while. I think it was yellows last time I looked. Let's see. Here's Jeppy, JP Morgan. This is the, we got nice little, it's on there. I like this trend that it's on, though. Very nice. If we could break through that prior high, might pick up some more momentum. But look at the RT, the momentum. That is a, almost looks like a bearish divergence there. Now, this is a specialty theme. They also, it's like a, this is the cover call one, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's see here. Dividend yield. Yeah, I got a little cover call action here, a little dividend action. So this is another one of those, income instruments, steady income instruments here. I've heard quite a few people refer to this one before. Ooh, CD drive. Letting us know the red lights are in the color guard. We got two, right? We got two. Yeah. And look at NVIDIA, 178. It broke my 184. So I might be closing that one earlier. That's almost to my stop, but that's fine. Netflix worked out for me anyways. But hey, the value still going. The sentiment of the market, the sentiment for NVIDIA is not there. I mean, every time I go on CNBC, it's AI bubble this, accounting, tricks. A lot of people are picking on NVIDIA, right? Hey, is what it is. NVIDIA, let's get rid of dividend yield because no one's buying NVIDIA for the dividend. So let's take a look at the growth rate in earnings. Yeah, which is okay, because it went from, a couple $100 billion, maybe trillion, depending on the day, now to several $1 trillion in market cap. So I'm not surprised that the growth rate in earnings has, deaccelerated. But to the extent is nonetheless alarming, right? If you see back here, you see the growth rate in earnings. Again, this is forecasted growth rate, 54%. Right now, 30, 31. So almost cut in half, right? Almost cut in half. But look at the earnings per share, still rising. But it is qualifying for that warning. Well, let's see here. Where was it a year ago? Or not a year ago. First at the year, EPS 767, 769. So it's a slow grind to the upside. And it looks like it was just ticked up yesterday. Yep, 765 to 769. That is a good sign, though, that the first EPS adjustment in VectorVest since earnings went to the upside. That I will say is good, but otherwise, it's still stuck in the channel. It's still stuck in the channel. So you see the stop price here. The stop currently 172. We have not had a sell rating on this stock really since the tariff situation around last April and May. But we are approaching that stop, so just be careful. Yeah, earnings report was good. I think there's just a lot of fear with the AI and stuff, a lot of noise, a lot of news, all that good stuff. I saw Michael Burry's comments again. And again, but what I like is under the hood, the value is rising, right? We've seen this in Apple before, channeling, right? Refueling. But again, that stop price is going to be right at the bottom of my line here. 165, that... if we create a new low here, our stop price might be triggered depending on the movement of it. So just be careful. As of right now, there's a potential I might cut NVIDIA short, but I haven't decided on that quite yet. I might get stopped out in it, honestly. And as far as NVIDIA scale in, is the NVIDIA report on the graph? It looks like it was updated. We get the data right from the NASDAQ exchange. So whatever their leading EPS is, 12-month leading forecast. And you can see that was yesterday was 765. Today was 769. As far as how NASDAQ gets the data and all that stuff, we got a data team up in Ohio, that does all that stuff. But what I do like is the first tick I see is the EPS going up since then. I love buying when there is fear. Hey, Mr. David. Dr. David Paul also said that, right? So maybe that was a good thing. I felt a little uncomfortable with NVIDIA. That's why I got stops, right? That's why you have stops. Why everyone here has stops, right? That's why you have a plan in place. So in case your plan doesn't work out, you don't just get emotional and start, buying and selling whatever when you shouldn't be. I love buying when there is fear. I did that with Netflix. Took a gamble doing that on the live stream, but hey, it paid off, right? It paid off. And I said NVIDIA before, I couldn't replicate options in our portfolios, but if you were going to do something before earnings, I wouldn't really suggest, but the buy right, right? Sell a covered call against it, protect it. Dr. Paul is always most difficult to buy at these times. That's right. Is always almost difficult. Yeah. I remember that video. He's got a lot of great knowledge. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Dr. David Paul, he worked with VectorVest and really Dr. Toledo. A lot of this, even before my time here, phenomenal economist. I mean, you can literally just YouTube him. Go on YouTube, Google him, Dr. David Paul. He's got videos. A lot of it's with VectorVest, and some of it's without, and a lot of it's without VectorVest. But just phenomenal guy, and he has some courses. He has a couple courses in the offers. So if you're looking for good courses, just go to vectorvest.com/offers. There's the EDU courses bottom right, and I'm pretty sure his is on the top row on the right side. I remember you backing up the truck when NVIDIA was 100. Yeah, I said it, Richard. That was back in the tariff turmoil, whatever you want to call it, last April or May. I'm like, well, if NVIDIA doesn't come back, we're gonna have much bigger problems, But hey, it is what it is, right? Dr. Paul thought CI was VectorVest's secret weapon. I'm not going to say I like CI. I call it the Rocky Balboa indicator. We could take a look at CI here in a few. But yeah, as far as growth rate earnings, that's my warning sign. I like the value. Get rid of that noise. That's going on there. The value ticked up too from yesterday. I like that. Growth rate flat is what it is. But, for a multi-trillion, it's actually the largest market cap stock out there right now. Still, I'm almost positive of that. Here's VV, Vanguard large cap. Hopefully this isn't just a continuation of a rollover, because it looks like a beginning of a rollover, right? We'll see. So if we get some lower lows here, definitely would be concerned with that. Even the stop price looks like it's just kind of a nice smooth rollover. RT just going below 1. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Just be careful with this. You see our stop price around 300. I mean, that's pretty tight stop there. What would that be? About 5%? I think about 15, roughly about 5%. Might be a buyer of, especially with the market. But yeah, if I get another swing low, RT's already giving me warning here. And if you don't want to wait till our stop price or the sell, just be careful. Dr. Paul was an absolute legend of trading in VectorVest. Magic Trades 159. I like that name, by the way. I might steal that. Magic Trades. I like that one. That's a good one. Absolutely. He is a legend, man. He's really smart, Dr. David Paul. And when him and Dr. Toledo got together, if you ever watched those videos, there are lots of good information out there. I mentioned he used the Wyckoff spring loads in yesterday's stream, and I think you'd enjoy using it for your style. Actually, I wrote that down. Oh, it's right here. Actually, I knew I wrote that down. Yes, I need to look that up, though. I still need to do some research. I've heard of it before, but it sounds like something. It's like pivot plays, essentially, right? I'm going to say it's probably like a pivot play, I guess. But Magic Trade, let me know. SQQQ, let's do this. For the ETFs, especially if we're to short the market, who knows what's going to happen. But if I am going to do it, I'd like to do something, rules-based. I like to get 3 and 8 here and ignore most of the stuff you see here. We got to get... because I got the star search on here. Let me get rid of this blue line. Probably could have just added 3 and 8 to the other one. Might have been easier. There's the 3 and 8. 3's above the 8. I like what I see there. Right? No. 3 is 70.63. 8. That's not quite there yet. Almost looking for trigger. What is it? Oh, value. That's what's messing me up. I ain't going to have value. So if we do get that cross kind of been basing here. You got resistance up here. If you got the cross, you can maybe take it up to the resistance. And that resistance is going to be right at the 200-day moving average of SQQQ. Kind of not a, with red lights appearing too, not a bad idea. RT relative timing. If you're looking for a little bit more confirmation, obviously get that 3 above the 8. And, you know, if that RT ain't getting above 1, that's not a bad sign to have behind a trade, right? Yeah, solid green candle. Yeah, it's giving some of it back here, but that 3 hasn't crossed above it. All right, well, they're even right now. So it's close. It's early. You know, I'll let you make that call, but it's going to be early. If you did make it, you know, having the red lights, things of that nature in the color guard. Is the primary wave down? Anybody know in the community room? Let me know if the primary wave is down. I would almost imagine it is. I've just been doing a lot of editing today. So I haven't really got to look at the market, to be honest. Here's NBIS, and let's get out of this. Let's go back to, sorry, I was just looking at 3 and 8 because we're looking at the ETFs there. Here's NBIS. This is a stock this one a little ascending channel. So broke it. Look, there's the retest. Look at the value. The value's moving up, but it's less than 20 bucks. But look at the earnings per share. I can get if it's negative and it's at least moving in the right direction, right? But what I don't want is it to be negative and going further into negative territory. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate all those. Yeah, so primary wave is down. So yes, primary wave appears. Primary BlackRock says, or BlayRock says, primary wave appears to be up. I don't know about that. Unless you're on end of day data. It just depends on what data feed you might be. Here's genuine parts. Ooh, gap down. That was the consolidation base. I'd like to see Phil not. Look at the earnings per share. That drop. That's not good. And that's from the earnings report. You see here? So is that for earnings? Yep, there's earnings. And look, right after the earnings, look at the forecasted data come in. Boom. You know, if I saw that something like NVIDIA, you know, if the NVIDIA's earnings came in and, you know, EPS just rolled off a cliff, I'd be singing a different tune, but ticked up a little bit, right? This one's a little bit more. Let me zoom back a little bit here. RT, well below 1, sell recommendation. Be careful of this one, especially there's the low. If you take that out, if you haven't already got into it. And I imagine it's probably trying to catch this. Yep, this right here, this catch. So we'll see. But as of right, that's a very aggressive. I don't know if you bought it or if you owned it, but if you have been owning it, you know, stay disciplined. Went from 150 to 119. We valued at 96, and look at the earnings per share dropping. You got to stop the bleeding somewhere. I'm not telling you to sell it. So I don't know where you bought it at, but just stick to whatever plan you had in place. If you're thinking about buying it or buying this dip, just know that's aggressive, right? RT is still below 1. But this little swing high here, this little wick, let's get above that for some real confirmation. And then maybe throw some moving averages on there, get a sense of direction, right? Let's see here. Here is Voyager Technologies. Interesting. Overvalued, you know, some of those aerospace and defense, especially the space ones, you know, that can happen. A lot of hype there. This is a classic example. You know, IPO, all the hype comes down. Value's not going up as quick as, you know, some people might like, especially if you own this one. But they're going to meet somewhere in the middle here. I don't know exactly where. You can see my 2 lines. The fact that we got a down day today, we're retesting the bottom of the line here. That's not a good sign. EPS. So this is, you know, if it's negative, at least I want it to be moving up. So that's, you know, not the best, but at least it's moving in the right direction. RT back, no, I'm not liking this one. I'm not liking it right now. Sell rating again today. Be careful. Be careful. Sell rating is back into play. Here's Nerd Wallet. Actually, we talked about this one, or we noticed it. I'm writing this one down. Here's my little paper right here. Look at the value on this thing. I mean, if it's tied to crypto, yeah, it's probably having a bad month, right? Or a bad couple months. Here's NRDS. I like that one. I'm not saying right now. It looks like the pivot's already been made. It's probably this gap fill here. In case you want to learn some more technicals. There's the gap. See, support at the bottom. No. Oh, there it is from that. There it is. That's where it caught the swing high. That makes sense from that gap. We've seen that. I pointed that out with Microsoft around 400. I think it's still playing around that area. AMD, I think, did similar situation not too long ago, if I remember correctly. Software sector had tremendous pressure on it by AI advances. Yeah, Richard, I don't know if that is going to end, but that's going to end. We'll see. AI is going to change a lot of things, right? We got to wait for it to close. Maybe my app is... no, there's different data feeds. We have end of day data feed, intraday, which is 15-minute delay, and we have real time. So if your hasn't been updated yet today, it's probably on end of day, which is not a bad thing. You know, if you're a day trader, yeah, end of day data is not going to work. But, you know, for a lot of people that work during the day, have lives, don't have to, don't trade every day, end of day data can be just fine. I'm telling you right now, end of day data can be just fine. You know, if you need something intraday, pull up the mobile app, because with VectorVest end of day data, the mobile app will still be intraday, 15-minute delay. So there's a little bit of an advantage there with that. So if you want something a little bit sooner, just a little heads up, you can do it that way. Yes, this looks good though. I'm not gonna lie, I like where it's pivoting. Yeah, it's aggressive, you know, especially if you're buying the dip kind of thing. RT's below 1, but the value is growing. The earnings per share is growing. I mean, the software for me personally is saying, hey, you know, the market may have mispriced it. I mean, it's in software, nerd wallet, so you know I don't use it, but I'm gonna imagine they probably got some crypto exposure there, right? Yeah, that might just be mispriced. I like that one, NRDS. You know, with 2 red lights. I think we got red lights in the color guard. You know, I'd be sticking to technicals right now. I know it's aggressive. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy trade. Make sure you're disciplined. Now, here's Melly. Mercado Libre. This is one that just did the earnings, right? Yep. They just had earnings. Oh, gap down. But earnings per share is still rising. The stock was just overvalued, trading at a premium. But again, I see this more than, not horizontal, but a freehand. I see this all the time. You know, if you ever notice this, just, you know, look at this value, right? This is why, you know, here at VectorVest, we favor or prefer undervalued stocks. You know, we recognize that there's profits to be made in overvalued stocks, and there might be some guidance and additional guidance that you would want to take in overvalued positions. But more often than not, you're going to see the two converge, right? So if a stock is overvalued and our value is under it, right? Just like this pattern, right? They like to meet in the middle, which is going to bring the stock price down. But if you're in the adverse effect, where the stock would have to rise in order to meet value, you know, potentially somewhere in the middle, it just, you know, increases your odds overall, right? But yeah, I like the company. I like what they do. I know what they do. They're pretty much the Amazon of Latin America kind of thing. But you can see the timing, just not there. But as of right now, as far as value is concerned, you are starting to get fair to undervalued prices, right? Melly, no trend, no trigger, no trade. Yep, exactly. You know, no trend. No, I wouldn't be other than the fact that it was way overvalued, and finally now, since we have VectorVest, we know we're getting a fair value. That's the only thing that would, yeah, I might put it on a watch list. You know, see if I find some pivots, see if some of that, you know, some of that downward pressure eases. Obviously, that depends on you as an investor or trader. But just because it hit value doesn't mean I want to go out and buy it today. No, because it's got a fresh sell rating, right? Let the trade come to you. Let the trade come to you. But yeah, the fact that it, you know, there might be some good opportunities here in the near future. Probably the market's got to get its act together, right? Here is AGQ Ultra Silver. Whew. This went from a high of $431 to the next day a low of $123. Who gave me this thing? Who's trying to have this as a headache? I mean, yeah, if you want to max out some silver, sure. Yeah, no, I can tell it's leveraged. I can tell it's leveraged, Richard. As far as this position here, I mean, clearly RT is not favorable, right? You see how well it did back here? Look at that. RT kept you in the trade from when it was $39. Well, maybe there's this one little blip here. No, 0.99. But otherwise, RT keep you on the right side. I mean, but as soon as this gap down, it was over, right? No surprise there. Now, as far as this stock, it's gonna have to do whatever silver's doing, right? Let's go back to 6 months here. We're right out of it. I'd like to take this out. I get a little upper wick there right now. I'd be careful with them. This is triple leverage. Probably could use some moving averages, or if this is starting to pick up some more momentum here. I'm just curious. Oh, yeah, look at that. Star search. See, that's a perfect example. See, a little bit could test, really just, depends on your risk tolerance. But usually I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation, maybe an additional candlestick under the yellow, things of that nature. But, if you trim profits here, you see the gap down. But, great example how Star Search can be utilized. But as of right now, it looks like all the Bollinger Bands squeezing back together in price action, finding its way back in the fast lane. But I don't like the way these Bollinger Bands are shaped up, honestly. I'm not going to be a huge fan of this one. Ryan, what about an RT below that is rising fast? 0.3 to 0.75 in quick order. Bill, I put it like this. If you're buying stocks with RT less than 1, right, you're probably doing some kind of bottom fishing, right? I mean, not markets related bottom fishing, but trying to buy a calculated dip on the stock, right? I get it. If I am going to look at, consider that as an option. No, it's riskier, right? Because you're going against, the bigger price trend, right? You're betting on it, right? But I like to look for when RT starts to develop, higher highs, higher lows, when it's down at those low levels, right? Especially if I could take out a prior swing high in RT, showing that momentum is really starting to, potentially change directions here. But yeah, just in general, 0.3. I mean, Bill, that's catching a falling knife. I know the system, man. You're catching a falling knife here. For example, let's just see how much RT dropped here. RT went from, oh wait, no, it's DPO. Let's switch back. Sorry, I'm used to being art. There we go. See, RT went from 0.29, right? So there goes 0.14. That's a lot of momentum. But you see the RT here? That one failed to get higher. But this one, let's see here. This swing high was at 0.44. This one's at 0.38. So yeah, now I'm starting to see higher highs. And then now this one, 0.51 and higher lows, right? So now I'm at least seeing that uptrend in RT, but still aggressive. So don't say, oh, Ryan just said, oh, just because it's hitting higher highs and higher lows, it'll be okay. When it's moved up to 0.75, not falling. Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying, Bill. But the overall general trend is still not necessarily in your favor. Maybe the shorter term, right? But yeah, just be careful. Bottom fishing with that. You really would want the market in your favor, right? With that kind of RT pressure, and let's just. I don't want to show it too much. Yeah, we got 2 red lights here. So bottom fishing. I know I did it with Netflix, but the market looked a little bit different earlier than this week. But generally speaking, not going to be, what I would want to do today. Bottom fishing, low RT stocks with red lights in the color guard, right? Let me just add a new watch list here. 0227. All right, what do we got? 5 minutes. I'm going to get 2 stocks from the community room side and 2 stocks from the YouTube side. First 2 to go. And cold. Let's see here. ALLG. UPST. Alan put that in right as I was typing it. So we got enough time for one more. Deck. All right, there they are. JBL, and that'll be the last one. We got a few minutes left here. All right. All down today. Upstart down 8%. Did they have earnings today too? Or yesterday? Let's see here. JBL. Yeah, JBL. Oh, no. Let's see here. Let's see the value. I like that. I'm not going to lie. Look at that value. The earnings per share. It's a smaller stock, obviously. Gold and silver. I like that momentum. I like the value jumping up. I like the break. Look at the RT here as well. Continuing that pick up that momentum. See that? Low is higher. Surpassed the prior high. I like that continuation of momentum here. Here's deck. Value on the rise. Price action on the rise. Strong buy ratings. RT still above favorable territory. Earnings per share now reaching $7. Let's go to 1 year. Okay, that's what we have talked about before. So a couple things I do like here. First, if I'm going to catch a falling knife, I at least want to see some kind of break in the knife, right? There's the downtrend over the last few swing highs. We see gapped up right on that trend. Found as a level support here. I got a gap, so I'm not going to like that one. You know, traders typically like to fill gaps. But what I do like, it's hard to catch a falling knife if value keeps falling, right? But look at the value. Look at the value rising, right? Look at the price rising now. Look at the earnings per share rising now. I mean, the earnings per share has been rising the whole time. But I like this. The gap fill, just be careful. But otherwise, let's just go back here. Be careful this way. Be careful. Let's just see here. Yeah, a lot of resistance here. We're starting to get close to resistance. Just keep that in mind. JBL, undervalued, price act, strong buy rating, not much pressure there. RT above 1, earnings per share. This one does qualify for that earnings per share weakness since January. You see, here's an example of it tapering off here. A lot of stocks are doing that recently, so just be aware of that. Here's Upstart. No. You thought you were going to... I do like from a valuation perspective, yes, you know, I'm seeing the market kind of misprice it, but look at that. That is a perfect downtrend. We got to keep going back here. Oh, wow. The earnings per share are climbing. Ugly in the beginning. A little bit of a premium there in the beginning of this, but yeah, I'm not necessarily in a rush to buy it, but I do see the valuation setup occurring, right? But the momentum still to the downside. Here's cold. Someone's playing a natural gas, it looks like. So this, again, RT, swing high. Yep, surpassed it. A lot of momentum here. That's going to be kind of where your resistance is coming in between these two candlesticks. If we get past that, you got a gap fill. Probably another little bit of resistance from a swing low. If we get some more, we get another gap fill, right? This is ETFs. It doesn't necessarily got to fill those gaps. All right. Woo. That was a good power hour. Who enjoyed today's session? Everybody enjoyed today's session? Now, just a heads up. The Tampa 2-day offers. I know we talked about, the group coachings and a lot of their wisdom as well. We talked about a lot of Dr. David Paul today, and he does have one of his courses in there. Just go to vectorvest.com/offers. And if you don't know who Dr. David Paul is, just YouTube him or Google him. He's got a lot of words of wisdom, and he's done a lot of videos here for VectorVest. Done a lot of collaboration with VectorVest over the years. So everybody, enjoy your weekend. Don't let those red lights in the color guard bring you down. Enjoy the good stuff out there. All right, take care.